at Herefordshire Council. I'm going to turn my camera off just while I present so that it comes through clearer. Yeah, so let's get started. This is the last session. Hopefully you've been to some of the other ones and found them quite useful. So just when we so this session we're going to explore why safer cultures and partnership working are essential for prevention, and just a little bit about what Safeguarding Week is. It's just a time for organisations to come together to raise awareness of important safeguarding issues. The focus this year for 2025 is on prevention and how we can act to stop abuse from taking place, and it's important to learn the right lessons when things go wrong, but it's much better to prevent abuse from occurring in the first place than it is to respond to instances of harm, neglect and isolation. So we all need the courage and the confidence to act on our instincts and to speak up when something feels wrong. And it's about building resilience. So having a resilient community where people know their rights and responsibilities and understand what to do when they do have concerns. There's a little link there to the Anne Craft Trust. They've got lots of useful resources around safeguarding, so I do recommend that if you can have a look. So safer cultures plus partnership equals prevention. So when people feel safe to speak up and know that they'll be listened to, concerns can surface early before harm escalates. Partnership then connects the dots, so health, housing, social care, banks, the police, community groups, we all share insights so that no warning signs get missed. And together, culture and collaboration can turn small clues into swift action, protecting people and building trust. So what do we mean by a safer culture? It's all about how organisations and individuals can take steps to minimise harm occurring in the first instance, while also ensuring correct policies and procedures are in place so that safeguarding concerns that are raised are recognised and responded to effectively. I like the analogy of thinking of it like a garden. So prevention is planting the seeds early. Partnership is the gardeners working together. Everyday conversations, the sunlight, speaking up, watering the plants, and early signs of harm is the weeds that you pull up before they take over. And when all of those things are in place, the garden can flourish. So it's just a nice way to think about it. But what's culture got to do with safeguarding? So a safer culture means that people are more likely to voice concerns about abuse at an early stage. People are more likely to challenge abuse where they see it, and people are more likely to voice their concerns when they feel safe. And everyone in the organisation works together to keep the culture safe for everyone. So what has it got to do with us, with everyone? So we know that in some situations people raise concerns and they're ignored. And in some situations, people just know that there's no point in trying to speak up, even when their organisation has those great policies and procedures. So culture, it's the way we think and do things around here, and it has a huge part to play in whether people feel safe within that setting, and it also determines whether or not the concerns are raised and if appropriate actions taken. So recognising that staff and volunteers can be an organisation's most valuable source of intelligence, and we need to ensure that everyone concerned with that organisation knows how to call out poor practice or abuse when they see it, and everyone should feel that they can trust people around them in the organisation and that the policy will support them if they choose to speak out, and everyone should know how to formally escalate a safeguarding concern. If that's something that you don't know or you don't know about your company's policy, then that's something to take back to the team, to your organisation, maybe bring it to the next team meeting so that it's out on an open agenda. I will speak a little bit more about how to formally escalate a safeguarding concern too. So it's natural to want to avoid conflict, especially when it feels like the stakes might be high. So you might be worried, you know, if I say something, are people going to judge me? Are people going to treat me differently? Might I lose my job, etc. But being silent won't make the problem go away, and it could increase the risk. So there's a little graph here that shows where we want to be. So is it safe? Is it worth it? So when people feel safe and they know that they're going to be supported and the action's going to be taken, they'll feel safe to speak up because it's safe and it's worth it. So that's the top right box. That's where ideally we want people to be. To the left of that, we've got high safety and low impact. So that's when somebody feels safe to raise their concerns, but doesn't believe that any action's going to happen. So there's no point. Low safety, low impact, bottom left. So that's when somebody doesn't feel safe and nothing's going to happen even if they do raise their concerns. So it's just not worth it. And then we've got the bottom right, low safety, high impact. That's where someone's afraid to speak up because the stakes are too high to remain silent. So that means that they don't feel safe, but there's a high impact. So as I say, just think about where you might fit into that in your organisation or where you are. And ideally, that's where you want to be, in the top right corner. So how speak out cultures can help prevent abuse. We all know that speaking out about poor practice and wrongdoing can prevent abuse, and all organisations should have a whistleblowing policy. I've linked here to the Ancraft one, so they can tell you a little bit more about that as well, if you want to look into that. But how many organisations understand how whistleblowing should work in practice? And that's why I ask that, you know, it is put on your team meeting agendas and it's spoken about. So there are many examples of whistleblowing helping to expose closed cultures and poor care standards. And some of those examples are quite famously the Winterbourne View one, the Horton Hall, which prompted a national response, and a recent exposure at Lifeways, which demonstrated the lengths that some families feel that they would need to go to protect their families. So the links are there. So when you have a little bit of time, have a little look through them. But it's about how people raising those concerns can stop and prevent that abuse from occurring. So prevention is better than cure. A safer culture is crucial for prevention and resilience against abuse. So people who feel safe, trusted and respected will be much more likely and confident to challenge others. They'll also feel ready to respond to any challenges that they do hear, and other people around them will feel more likely to help resolve the issues, because that's how we do things around here, and that's the culture which we want to get to. And if you've got that, that's absolutely brilliant. So we know what a safer culture looks like, but what does it feel like? So it's an environment where you'd tell someone if you're worried because you know that you'll be listened to and supported. You can admit mistakes without fear because learning is valued over blame. People check in and not check out. So colleagues and communities look out for each other. It's not a case of, you know, oh, well, that's your problem, I don't want to be involved in that. We support each other with their concerns. So essentially it feels safe, it feels respectful, and it feels proactive where things happen. It should be where speaking up is normal because safeguarding is everybody's business. So why partnership is prevention, and we can look at this through 3 lenses. So you've got the everyday lens, which is small observations from community members or staff members. You might notice a change in somebody's mood, mail might be piling up, someone suddenly seems isolated, not coming to usual community groups, or unexplained visitors. So they're just a couple of examples. But these tiny clues can prevent major harm if they reach the right person. Then you've got the professional lens, so that's formal collaboration. So how organisations and partners can work together. So just a couple of examples: have health and housing might work together to prevent neglect, a GP and voluntary organisation to reduce social isolation, banks and carers to spot financial abuse, and police and social care to prevent exploitation. Now, there's many collaborations that will happen to prevent different types of abuse, and lots of agencies and partners coming together. And then we've got the cultural lens, which determines if concerns are spoken up about, if they're listened to, or if they get lost. And just to note that a safer culture isn't built when things go wrong, it's built long before that, so people feel comfortable, you know, to say when things have gone wrong and to have those conversations. And it matters because all of these partners and people see different pieces of the puzzle, and working together connects those dots, prevents isolation, and collaboration ensures that individuals don't fall through the gaps between services, and it stops harm early. So joint action, such as GP flagging missed appointments to social care or a bank alerting unusual withdrawals, that can prevent neglect, financial abuse and exploitation before they become a crisis. So just a little example here where we're celebrating safer cultures and a partnership approach. So Mrs. Patel, an older adult living alone, she was recently discharged from hospital after having a fall, and her GP noticed that she'd missed 2 of her follow-up appointments and flagged that with the local voluntary befriending group. And a volunteer then visited her home and saw unopened mail, that she didn't really have any food in the fridge, and they had concerns about neglect. So the volunteer contacted social care, who coordinated with housing to arrange repairs and ensure that the heating was working. And at the same time, the bank had observed some unusual withdrawals from Mrs. Patel's account. And that prompted a joint investigation with the police and social care that uncovered a neighbour was exploiting her financially. So through all of those collaborations and people noticing and having small parts of the picture, Mrs. Patel was able to receive food support, a safe home environment and protection from further harm. And that's where we ideally want to get to. So yeah, just a little celebration of that safer culture. So early detection prevents abuse. Speak out cultures can help organisations detect potential wrongdoing or poor practice as early as possible. This can prevent further future abuse while also ensuring that people using the services will be better protected. Safer policies and procedures will be embedded across the organisation. People using the services and those working within them will better understand the organisation's expectations, and staff will be trained beyond compliance, understanding how to recognise poor practice or safeguarding concerns. And people should feel competent and confident about reporting, knowing that they will be listened to and knowing who and how to report to. So the power of prevention moves. So what can we do? So as individuals, we can notice changes, not just incidents, have the 10-second courage to speak up, build trust to allow early disclosure, and share the concerns appropriately and promptly. For communities, we can encourage awareness of scams and exploitation and create inclusive community groups that reduce loneliness. They're especially important because those community groups where people are coming, they'll be the first signs that something may be going wrong. And if those trusting relationships are built, you may be the first people that those concerns are raised to. So promoting an understanding of safeguarding and where to go to. So if people do have concerns, just equipping yourself with some of that basic knowledge of, well, this is where you can go to for support. For teams, swapping what's going on with what might be going on. So, not making any assumptions, really understanding the bigger picture, getting those jigsaw pieces together. Celebrate people raising concerns, don't bury them. So don't, be afraid if people come to you with concerns, don't brush them off. They need to be taken seriously, and people need to be appreciated and thanked for bringing those concerns to light, because that's how we're going to embrace and embed that safer culture. Making safeguarding a standing agenda and item and walking around conversation. So speak about safeguarding, put it on agendas. If you've got it in supervision, reflect upon it. It's not just for social care. Safeguarding, as I've mentioned, is everybody's business. So yeah, bring it into the conversations. And for the wider organisations, it's to create a culture where where questions are welcomed and not feared, where people can share information safely, not silently, and train together across agencies. So I think that that's important. When we work in collaboration, people feel better about sharing information with each other and feel more confident to do so. So for anybody that doesn't know how and when to make a referral, there's some information on this slide here. So just asking yourself, is this somebody that's got care and support needs? Are they experiencing or at risk of abuse or neglect? And do they seem unable to protect themselves? If the answer to that is yes, then you would make a safeguarding referral. And if you're not sure, then you can always contact the safeguarding team. We've got a dedicated professionals line that, if you wish to seek advice, you can give us a call. We've got safeguarding referral form that you can email in, write to us. We've got the advice and referral team, which is the first point of contact generally, and they will give advice and support in accessing social care and arranging carers assessments, etc. If there's an emergency, always dial 999. If it's not an emergency but a crime may have been committed, there's the contact numbers for the police there. And yeah, so there is some information about all the different types of abuse. So what happens when you report abuse and the work that's being done by social services and other professionals to protect adults in Herefordshire. And there's a link there to the Safeguarding Board website, which has lots of information and resources on. So just to note that when we act early, we can stop the first domino from falling. Prevention is rarely dramatic. It happens in moments of kindness, curiosity, and connection. It happens when people work together, and that's what a safer culture looks like and what it should feel like. And just to remember that safeguarding is everybody's business, partnership makes it everybody's success, and prevention makes it everybody's future. So I just wanted to take this moment to ask everyone to maybe pop in the chat, what's one small action that you can take tomorrow that will help build a safer culture? And I can't see the chat, so Kirsty, you might have to help me here.
Yeah, nothing in there just yet, but I can see people typing.
I think we might even have time for a couple of people to actually shout out, put your hands up as well if you're bursting to get involved.
So we've got one from Lindsay, and she's put, find some materials to display that raise awareness of financial exploitation. Chris has added, being open to encourage people to speak about safeguarding concerns or questions they have.
Yeah, really good, really good.
Do you want to move on? Oh, we have got another one.
Okay.
Your own questions now anyway. What I'll do is I'll stop the recording so that people can ask questions openly.
Yeah, and I'm going to pop myself back on camera.